All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where real entrepreneurs unpack the truth behind success, the risks, the reinventions, and also the sleepless nights and the breakthroughs that they encounter on their journey. I'm your host, Prosper Tarovinga. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed by property decisions, maybe confused about mortgage options, or unsure who to trust in one of the biggest financial moves of your life, then this episode is definitely for you. All right. So, as I've mentioned, this is the number one place to find exclusive insights from experts who just don't talk theory, but actually live it. So, wherever you're watching or listening to this, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode that's designed to help you grow personally, professionally, and financially. All right, you guys. Today I'm really excited about our guest, Philip Daniel Gans, who is the president of Next Wave Mortgage. Now, Philip, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. I can't even tell you. This is going to be a great show, and looking forward to being on a journey with the audience.
Absolutely. Well, we're also excited because, as you would know and appreciate, property mortgages is one of those things that so many people hear about and maybe never get to tackle because it's too complicated, or just the big thing that they have to do. But I think information changes situations, and this is what you actually help other people achieve in their lives. So I can't wait to get started. But let's start off with something. You look rather fresh for somebody who's just had a baby.
Oh my God, yes. I just had a baby Madison. I'm 47, so I'm the oldest first time dad. But I couldn't do it without my wife and my mother-in-law. It's a real team effort. It takes a village to raise a kid.
Absolutely. And congratulations. I mean, you've built your career helping other families secure their homes and being financially stable. And congratulations, like you said, at 47, you've just secured your biggest long term investment yet, 15 weeks old. And was it time in the market, as they say, or you just timed the market perfectly?
Well, what I would tell someone is you got to find your right partner in life, your best friend. And that's what I would tell people. People miss it. And sometimes you find this person later in life than earlier in life. And I
Mhm.
think as you get older, you kind of define what you're looking for. And I would tell anyone, keep it simple. Just find your best friends. It's simple.
Absolutely. So this is more of a time in the market type thing that you did instead of just trying to time it and game the situation.
Yeah, because I think if people say, hey, I want to have kids at this age or that age, invariably you end up making the wrong choices. You're under pressure, right? I didn't realize what the right thought process was of finding a right partner. And I would tell anyone, it's as simple as just ask yourself this one question. Is this my best friend? If it's not your best friend, then it's not a good match. Because ultimately, when you're with someone, it's not like good person or bad person. Is this a match? And that was part of my spiritual journey, is that I learned what I would really be looking for. I think when I was younger, I'd look at a checklist or I don't want to say skin deep, but I wasn't thinking the right way of best friend. I wasn't finding the right matches. And I think, we're taught to think certain ways. We're programmed to think in certain ways. We're not told to just go find your best friend. If someone just made it simple, I got baby Madison. You said, well, what advice did you give baby Madison when she gets older? Find your best friend. No more, no less than that. We have these checklists. And the thing is, in life, the goal in life is to win a championship, okay? In business, in family. And if you do not have a good partner, you are not going to win a championship. You'll get burnt out, tired, and quit. And half of the world does it. They get divorced because we look for the wrong things. We evaluate the wrong way. And a lot of times we go with the sizzle and not the substance. And
Mm,
that's actually a big mistake that people make is that they go for the sizzle, not the substance. That doesn't mean you don't go get a beautiful lady. Be honest, I overachieved, but that's not the right way to approach it. You approach it of go find your best friend. If you find your best friend, the rest will take care of yourself because you'll elevate each other. If you
mm,
don't make her better, or she doesn't make you better, or he or she, whatever it is, right? Like if this couple doesn't make each other better, then obviously then it won't work, right? And if you look at the Bible, what was the first story? Adam and Eve,
Adam and
right?
Eve.
God said, we're gonna have a best friend here, Adam and Eve, and people forget the story, you know. And that's what I'd say. Go find your best friend, and if I could tell that to anyone, that's what I would tell them.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that fatherly advice. I mean, obviously now you can claim to be, one of those as is. So obviously this is something that's recent and congratulations, but take us back to way before you even started Next Wave Mortgage. Like you said, in life, the whole goal is to win a championship. And from what we grew up knowing, the biggest thing that everybody would have wanted was the American dream of owning their own property. Was that the influence that got you into business, or tell us how your journey began?
No, I just think, look, when I graduated college, I was going to do the Peace Corps. And then I graduated December of 2000. Um, and we had 9/11, right? And so afterwards, I couldn't do the Peace Corps. So I had to get a job at a mortgage company. And that's how I really got started May 7th, 2001. And the primary, I think, any job that you want to do the best at. And everywhere I went, it was always to learn a skill to get better. So my first job, I learned how to talk to people and become a telemarketer. And a lot of people would look down as telemarketers. That's okay. But for any young person out there, that's a great skill to have to learn how to work hard and make calls and really be a good listener. Telemarketing isn't about calling, it's about listening. And then from there, I got promoted at the same company, become a manager. And then I worked at another company and I started, for another mortgage company. And, I worked leads and then I worked for another company and I built a huge business and I had to hire and train and, do some great things. And what I would say is along the way is that I probably learned more when I lost than when I won. But every job that you have has a purpose, and you want to do it to your best of your ability so you can learn the skill. It's not about getting an A, it's about the process of winning a championship. You're going to need the skills along the way to eventually lead your team to a championship. And if you can't develop the skills, you have no chance. This is what people, miss. They want to just AI and cheat or whatever, and they're missing the struggle. They're missing what turned the coal into a diamond, right? And I think if you're gonna, try to compete whether it's in business or sports, that success is like rented, and every day you got to kind of like redo it and regrind and work really hard to get better. That's what I would tell any person. You got to work as hard as you can to improve. Don't care about the result as the journey.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for opening us up with that, because at the end of the day, so many people, like you say, just want the sizzle, but they don't actually look at the journey and, the ingredients that actually comprise of what that sizzle actually is. So, as you mentioned, you started off in telemarketing, and that would have obviously taught you a lot more about the nature of human beings from what you were selling and communicating and listening to people. What did you discover that people mostly wanted?
Just be a good listener. That's what I will tell you. Listen, and trust is everything. And so if you listen, you can develop trust. You can move people forward in a process. This
Mhm.
is a big thing that younger people miss. They talk more, they listen less. Listen more, talk less. And you'll be able to have great value. Trust is everything. And the fastest way to trust is to listen. That's why when you go to therapists or psychologists, they listen so you can trust them.
I like that, Philip, because one of the words that you're using a lot there is value and trust. So, in your career journey, when did you then realize that this wasn't a job? This was actually your mission, and you wanted that people trusted you and you gave them value.
Yeah, it was just like every day I just wanted to get better. But it comes to a point, I think, in your career, I'm 47, that you wanna, I think as you where it happened was is that when I made the transition from like loan officer to really running a team with two of my friends, that you want to try to grow, a branch, right? You want to do something, and it's like a sport. Business is a sport, right? And so you're trying to achieve. This is the big thing. Business is a sport, right? So that is why you work together to try to overcome objectives. No one can do everything on their own. It's all about teamwork. This is the big thing. I was actually kind of lucky in life. I was, I played sports. Was I good? No. I was like the glue guy, right? I was just happy to be part of the ride. But I'll tell you one thing, I'd rather be the worst person on the best team than the best person on the worst team. And that's what's missed. People just want to get theirs. It's not about getting that. There's no better feeling than being part of something that wins. There's no better feeling. I mean, is there any better feeling than winning? I mean, there's this feeling of elation. It's addictive, right?
Mm.
That's the question. Is when's the first time you won? How did that feel? Winning's addictive. They say that that's why people get addicted to the lottery. You don't get addicted through losses. You get addicted through the feeling of micro wins. And
Mm.
that's why some of the most games give you small wins. That's why you're more likely to get addicted where the games are closer to 50-50, like sports gambling or blackjack, than you are where the odds are completely stacked against you. Because it gives the illusion of hope. But
Mm.
I love winning. I'm addicted. I'm an underdog. Every day. And that's actually something, my wife said, if you won the lottery, would you stop working? No. Why would I stop? I want to win. I want to try to win championships. Is there anything better? The only thing better than winning a championship is celebrating with other people. And
Oh,
I think it's part of the journey. And if you look at the best people, the most accomplished people, they don't need to work. They just want to win. They want to win everything. And I think we're on this journey together. And that's why I don't like the illusion. That's why I think some people, if they get it too easy in life, they miss out on the opportunity. The opportunity of the journey of trying to win. And I know some people say, well, I don't want to struggle. I don't want the journey. Then sometimes then you miss out on happiness. The
mhm.
reality is that if Jesus was born rich and had to do nothing in life, maybe he wouldn't have been as accomplished.
That's the thing about the existence that we have right now. We all only want things that are already done without having put in the work. But you are literally helping families build stability for themselves, obviously by property acquisition or home ownership. Was there something maybe in your upbringing or maybe early life that subconsciously would wired you for this role? And I keep hearing you saying, I don't mind being the worst player on the best team. Is that something that keeps moving you to help these families find stability?
Yeah, because I realize, and I'll bring it back to the customer for legacy wealth is home ownership. It's the only investment that when it goes up, you get 100% of the gain. The issue in America and probably the world is people want sizzle over substance. If you own a property for 10 years, you will become well off. If you own it for 30 years, you'll become wealthy. It's the reality. You become more wealthy than most of your friends. What people ask themselves, especially millennials, what will happen in 2 years or 1 year? what's that expression? When's the best time to buy? 10 years
10
ago.
years
What's the
ago.
second best time? Today.
Dang.
The reality is, the best time to buy was probably 30 years ago. You just buy and you hold, and it's about the long term. And you know what? I think the smartest people really think about this. They think about culture and they think about wealth and winning championships. And I believe what I'm doing helping home ownership can solve it. When people become homeowners, they have an opportunity to become wealthy. And it's a way to solve a lot of disparity in the world and in America, home ownership. And what happens a lot is, and for the people listening in the United States, around the world, I've lived in two polar opposite states. Massachusetts, the most liberal, and Florida, the most conservative. And I've seen both. And I think when you look at home ownership, you can't think liberal, you can't think conservative. You need to think of only one issue, and that is helping people. And the way that you help people is trying to create paths of allowing them to become homeowners. And that's a big thing. And that's what's missed. Like I gave you an example. Sometimes they'll have like rent freeze or rent restrictions where the landlord can't raise rent. The issue with this is that people never want to become homeowners with this. And then investors don't want to fix their property. So this seems like a great idea to help out the poor, but you end up hurting them. And a lot of policies are misguided, right? Where that could be used in other ways. The energy of trying to say, let's help out. Because the reality is this: in Florida, where I live, the most conservative state, that in Texas, you can buy a home in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, brand new, 4 bed, 2 bath. And I don't know what the conversion is, whoever you are and wherever you're listening, but 350 American dollars. In the most liberal state in the United States, if you look at California or Massachusetts, the average home price is double. It's 700. You're like, why is it so dumb? Because I think they want to help out so bad, they keep on creating more policies that slow down home building and efforts. Because it's a simple math equation. If you can increase supply more than demand, home prices will go down. If home prices go down, then they become more affordable. If they become more affordable, then more families can acquire them. If more families can acquire them, you solve a lot of economic problems around the world. And that's how you do it. When you think of a policy, you just ask yourself one question: will supply increase faster than demand if you implement that? And if the answer is no, it's a bad policy. Remember, the only thing better than free is fast. That shows you the value of time. So
Mm.
I think a lot of people are well intentioned. And as someone that wants to help out everyone, someone that got accepted into the Peace Corps, someone that taught at the Chinese Progressive Association to help out Chinese people to become citizens. I bring this up because my heart is to always help people. And the way you will help people in housing is simple. All you have to do is increase supply faster than demand. That's all
Mm.
you need. The issue is that government likes to insulate themselves to make more government so they make more money and not take care of the people. They create these bad policies of more government, more overlays, and more protections. They just come up with every excuse. They'll tell you about the environment. I love the environment. I lived in the Florida Keys. For people who don't know what the Florida Keys is, it's an ecosystem built on a reef. So yes, I love wildlife, but people are missing it. They're missing misintentioned ideas. And it's simple. I would build to the moon. And I will tell you this. If more people would become homeowners, you would reduce people in jail. You're like, really? There's not many homeowners in jail. I'm telling you this because they have something. People don't commit crimes if they have something to lose. So I would focus in on home ownership for as many people as possible. Now, some people might get left out, but more people are getting left out by not building to the moon than by building to the moon. And that's what I would try to do. I know how to help out the low to middle class. And it's making housing more affordable, providing more down payment assistance. And by the way, the worst programs that are misguided that are now coming out as assistance are these equity share programs. What that means is the government will help you to buy, but when you sell, they own some of your home. This is a terrible idea. And I just want to let you know people are misguided and they misunderstand. And I get it. My family escaped communism. I was taught all about this stuff. We want a free enterprise that will help out homeownership by building very quickly. And that's what I would tell people in every country. And every country may not have the opportunity of the United States about the American dream. I get it. That stinks. So my family escaped communism. My family's from Czechoslovakia. The country doesn't exist. Like, how does communism work? Not well.
Absolutely.
Communism has never won a championship.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Philip. Now, obviously, there's a lot that you put in there, but maybe we'll just go to the part where a lot of people freeze when it comes to a mortgage, because a mortgage is not just a mortgage for, for people like yourself, but to other people, it represents the conundrum of good debt versus bad debt. And not a lot of people want to be in debt. Maybe you can just maybe iron out a little bit about what that means, and just to calm the farm a little bit for where people.
Yeah, okay. So good debt is when you buy something, the asset overall appreciates. The reality is this: when you buy a home, in the beginning you'll lose, but over time it goes up because there's a demand for housing. And cars and all these other things, anything besides homes, in my opinion, except for like rare collectibles, and I wouldn't even talk about that, is misrepresented. Crypto, and all this nonsense, the sizzle. They want instant gains, but not to over confuse people. If you just keep it simple and you buy real estate and you do nothing else, you will become wealthy. And it's good debt because your home will go up. It will. It always does. Look at your parents, look at your grandparents, look at all the wealthiest people. They're homeowners. They take mortgages. The only people that don't take mortgages are poor people. That's what I would tell you. You
Absolutely.
know, good debt helps you win championships.
Absolutely. And I love the championships analogy there. Now, for those people that are just thinking maybe a mortgage is a mortgage, just chase the lowest rate, what are they missing?
What I would tell people is there's a lot of different factors, right? You know, there's different types of loans across the world. You know, you want a low rate, but I'll tell you what you definitely want. You want it to be fixed. If you're in a country that can get a fixed rate, you want it. If you're in a country that can get an adjustable, get it for fixed for as long as possible. But I would also tell you this for most people, you're not Warren Buffett. Take your extra money and pay down your mortgage. Buy your home, keep it simple. This will be something that you'll be able to pass on to your generations. This is very important. You want to give something to your kids? Buy a home. You know what you're not going to give to your kids? Your clothing, your iPhones, your t shirts, pocketbooks, your cars. The home is real wealth. This is what you need to focus in on and not get confused and to not overthink about it. The issue is in the world, they don't teach home ownership in school. There's not one country that really teaches it. And I would implement it, but I would move forward. The longer you delay, the further you get behind. The sooner you buy, the further you get ahead. This is why rich people, they become homeowners at an early age, right away.
So obviously, you've been doing this for quite a while, and you would understand that buying a home is one of those most stressful and most emotional transactions anybody would ever be involved in. I mean, you probably do that with your eyes closed, but for others, there's fear, excitement, and then there's also doubt involved in all of that. So, how do you help clients maybe just navigate that psychology, not just the paperwork that is involved in when it comes to buying a home?
You need to start as early as possible. The issue in America, a lot of Americans want to start after they found a home. This is the big mistake. You need to start it ahead of time and work with someone before you're really ready. If you start closer to when you want to buy a home, you're going to make mistakes. And this is something I need to tell you, right? So the earlier you start it, the better.
Mm,
So it's missed. Look, rich people start it when these kids at one, they own a home. They're in trust. They do it. The sooner you start the process, right away. I'll tell you this. Once Madison, I'll be teaching her at a young age, 6, 7, whatever. As soon as she understands things, we'll be talking about home ownership and wealth. It starts at a very young age. If you wait till later in life, you get behind. That's
absolutely.
when it should start. You know what? I was going to create books for the kids, home ownership books, financial literacy. You know when? Age 0, age 1, age 2, age 3, age 4. Not, I'm 32, I'm married, about to get married and I like to buy it. That's not winning. When you look at the Olympics, what did kids start?
Yeah.
0, 1,
Yeah.
2, 3,
Yeah.
4. When do
Mm.
rich people start? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When do poor people start? Later in life. You don't have a chance. That was actually my angle. I was actually thinking about that. I was going to start a baby collection, baby book. And you're like, well, how would anyone give you their kids this? So they become wealthy.
Absolutely.
And I know
And
that sounds crazy.
being a dad myself, I concur with that. And obviously, information changes situations. I think I've said that before. And there's a lot of people that in your world, you will call them fully grown babies because nobody has given them that knowledge to really know what to do with their money. So many people can't wait until they're 21 so they can start drinking alcohol, or can't wait until they're 18 so they can start driving, or maybe certain things. But home ownership hasn't gotten that milestone. It's only when somebody then wakes up one day and they think, oh, wait a minute, now I need to buy a home. So, what are some of the things that, as you said, you're going to start teaching medicine at age 4 or 5? What would you rather have people know at that age about buying a home?
What I would say is it just needs to be in their mind how important it is at a young age and how families need to help families, right? This is the big thing. Families need to help families win. And you see this. Certain families really help out families. I was just dealing with a family earlier today. They had a limited partnership and they run all these properties. They're multi millionaires. And they're just like, yeah, I'm gonna help my daughter buy a home. Well, how old's your daughter? 18. Like they're already starting. I'm like, how many homes does your family own? She's like 900. Like it's never enough. They just want to buy more and more. Like winning families, like they view it as a team and championships. They're not
Mm,
trying to buy one. They want to scale this up. That's why certain families win more. They look at themselves as a unit and they look at their community as a unit. And then they acquire so much. And I
mm,
think that's what they do. You're the leader as a dad. You are the leader of your family. So
absolutely.
your
So,
goal is to buy a home. This is what your goal is. You need to help your family buy a home if you're going to be the leader.
great
More
stuff.
men need to take responsibility to become the leader.
Absolutely. Have you always felt like this, or did this all change now that you are a dad and Madison is there now? Has this changed the way you think about wealth, legacy, and risk?
Well, over time, I've seen winning families do it. I clearly know what a winning family looks like to a losing family. It doesn't take you long. The winning family is organized. They got a plan. They want to buy more. They all help each other. They have a
Mm,
structure. It looks like a winning organization. Losing families, they're all by themselves, right? And I think this shows if you want to win, and this is the thing about substance. The job of the husband is to help buy the home and then lead the family and acquire more homes and help out their kids and have more substance than sizzle. That's what I would tell families. Substance more than sizzle. Now that's why it's people. What do people ask me? What do you think of religion? I'm not a religious person, but I'm for tradition. And if tradition means families stick together and they work together and they go to church or not go to church, I mean, then look, I think that matters. To work together to try to build something, and that's what I would tell people. You need to stick together. For
mm,
all the guys out there, you can become better leaders and lead and help your
abs-
family win. It's your job as a guy to help them win. Don't that's a big thing. Less social media, more winning. You to be more committed. No distractions. And people that get distractions. And that's what you got to be committed to to yourself and to God and to your family.
I like
And that
that.
means you have to give things up. That means you might have to give certain things up that you didn't want to.
I like that. You see, in my culture, we've got a statement: if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together. So many people have this individualistic approach to life. And obviously, you can't conquer the way the world is set up if you're just gonna go at it by yourself. So for somebody who's watching this right now, Philip, what and they may be thinking to themselves, I may want to turn maybe their first home into the beginning of maybe generational wealth. What should they be thinking about today?
Stop wasting money. I would really look at your budget, cut out the waste, look at your budget monthly, go over all your expenses, get things in line, don't overspend. Run it like a real business, your life. Get it in order. Make sure your credit's good. Don't waste energy. You got to be organized.
I like that. I like that. And for everybody who's watching right now, I've got a question for you. Have you ever maybe delayed a big financial decision because you were afraid of making the wrong move, or you didn't have the right information, or you just didn't think it was the right time? I want you to drop the words ready in the comments if you maybe know that it's time to stop renting your future and actually start owning it. Now, Philip, for those people that are going to be typing ready in the comments below and maybe want to know a little bit more about how you can help, where can they go on the internet to learn more about your services?
You can call me 617-529-9317, 617-529-9317. My name is Phil Gans. That's PHILIPGANZ. You can add me on LinkedIn. You can DM me on Instagram, or you could email me at PHIL at nextwavemortgage.com. And I'm always available, and I'm very personable, and I like to meet people, and I'm here to help one family at a time.
Absolutely. Now, is this only just open to Floridians or people that want to move to Florida?
No, I'm licensed I would tell anyone that wants to buy in the United States, I can always connect you with the right person. Just reach out. If I can't help you, I'm licensed in a lot of the different states that I'd love to be able to direct you in the right way. And I got a great network of people. So I tell people, even if it's not me, I'll tell you the best person to go to.
Absolutely. Now, Philip, I don't know how you feel about this, but lately in the news and everywhere that we've been hearing, I've been hearing this statement, and it doesn't sit well with me. I don't know how you feel about this. You will own nothing and you'll be happy.
Well, I would tell you that sounds like a loser. You owe nothing and be happy. That's terrible. That's not America, right? The America I know is you're going to build and win. We need to win championships. Ugh, terrible. You know what goes with that statement? It's like the collective warmth and the frigid of like entrepreneurism. I mean, it's that's not winning, right? That's spoken by a non-winner in life. That guy has never won a championship, right? So let's win, America. Let's win, world, and we can all do this together.
Absolutely. Well, Philip, thank you so much for sharing your journey and obviously, the work that you're doing to help others, because the more this information is out, the more people will be winning their own championships. So you've shown us, from building mortgages to now building legacy, which comes in the form of you now just being a dad yourself. So thank you so much for opening us up to your world.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate being on the show today.
Great stuff. Now, for those that are watching, if today's conversation helped you maybe rethink how you approach home ownership, security, or maybe generational wealth, I encourage you not to keep this to yourself. Share this episode with somebody who's thinking about maybe buying in Florida, but maybe feels a little bit overwhelmed right now. Philip and his team are more than happy to hold your hand and ease you into home ownership in a way that is going to be creating not only for yourself but generational wealth for the ones that come after you. And if somebody has shared this episode with you, maybe they see something in you that you haven't seen yet. So make sure you subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show, because in the next episode, we're going to be diving into ideas that will help you create a happier existence, not just a wealthier one, but one that you are absolutely happy in. And I want you to remember one thing: prosperity is not just about income, it's about intention, it's about ownership, and it's also about legacy. I want you to check out the show notes where I will be putting all the links so you can connect with Philip Gans. And if you're ready to make Florida your home, definitely connect with Philip then. Until next time, I don't know what you will do with this information, but I want you to own your decisions, own your future. And I can't wait to see you in the next wave. Bye for now.